Good morning, everyone. Good to see you this morning. I now have woken you up with my voice in the room, which is great. It's good to see you all here today. My name is Ron. I'm the pastor here at Vitalpoint Church, and I've been away on a summer break, and I was just telling someone downstairs, I couldn't wait to get back to church and get back to doing what we do here at Vitalpoint Church. It's so amazing. So much has been going on. Lots of things have been happening over the summer. And it is good to have you here today. If you're new here today at Vitalpoint Church, I want to encourage you to stop by the welcome desk downstairs and make sure that you get yourself a welcome gift. We are so thrilled to be able to give you that. Also, welcome to those of you online. We are so grateful that you have chosen to watch this morning, be part of the service from home. We hope that one day you'll find yourself at one of our in-person gatherings, either here in Poplar Hill or in Exeter or even Clinton this fall as we start our third location. But no matter what, we're just so happy that you're checking in on this. We're excited to be a church that points people to Jesus and to help people learn what does it mean to walk with him. Speaking of walking, yesterday here at Vitalpoint Church, we did this event called Move for Freedom. We partnered with Ally, an organization out of British Columbia that works at bringing hope and healing to people that have been rescued from human trafficking. And we did an event yesterday. We had over 70 people participate in this event. We had, yes, this is incredible. We had a 100-kilometer ride. We had a 10-kilometer run. And we had a 5K walk. And everybody was alive at the end, which is a bonus. It was so hot. It was incredibly hot. And I did the 100-kilometer ride, and it was definitely warm by the end of it. But here's the good news. Do you want to know how much we raised? All right, so our goal was $10,000. And if I check the numbers correctly, we are just a touch over $16,000 right now. So it's amazing. Here's what I want you to think about with the $16,000 is that there is going to be a child or a teenager that's going to get hope and healing because they've been rescued from human trafficking. And this organization is a fantastic organization that we are partnering with right now. And that is a story upon story of people, individuals, finding hope and healing. And we get to be part of that and financially give to contribute to that, which is amazing. You can still donate today. The Move for Freedom is still open today for donating. You just go to vitalpointchurch.com, and at the very top of the website, there is a button for donating, and we'd love to. Wouldn't it be amazing to go way over $16,000? And that would be so fantastic, and that'd be amazing. Let's stand together. So we're in this series in the book of Proverbs, and we've been talking about practical wisdom for life. And we've been looking at different verses, different sections of Proverbs over the course of the summer. And today, Amy's going to be talking about practical wisdom for raising children. And she's going to set it all up. I'm not even going to steal any of your thunder. I'll let you set it up because your talk is relevant for all of us, which is so important. But here's what I also do know. As we enter into the next few minutes, we're going to be singing some songs together, and maybe singing is your thing, or maybe it's not. It doesn't, some of us, it's not, something that we are familiar with. But as we enter into the next few minutes, here's what I want you to consider. It is possible over the next 55 minutes or so that God is going to meet you right where you are. And so my prayer for you today is that your mind and your heart will be open to what God has for you. And maybe church is new for you. This is your first time in church in a long time, or first time in church ever. We hope and pray that you will get a glimpse of the love that God has for you, and that you will enter into a beautiful understanding today of what it means to follow Jesus. So I'm going to pray. Come, Holy Spirit, come.
Let's put our hands together.
I was walking the wayside, lost on a lonely road. I was chasing the high line, trying to satisfy my soul. the lies I believed in left me crying like the rain. Then I saw lightning from heaven, and I've never been the same. I'm gonna climb a mountain, I'm gonna shout about it. I am a child of love. I found a world of freedom, I found a friend in Jesus. I am a child of love. I felt the sting of the fire, but I saw you in the face. Just when I thought it was over, you broke me out of the grave. I'm gonna climb a mountain, I'm gonna shout about it. I am a child of love. I found a world of freedom, I found a friend in Jesus. I am a child of love. Yeah.
This one is a little newer, but please join with us as you're comfortable.
There is singing at the ancient gates. There's a melody of ceaseless praise. Age to age and sound is only growing stronger. There's a throne beneath the name of names. There is seated on one who reigns, and his kingdom is here and getting closer. Praise him like with every glory, dear, and now he's just as holy. Jesus, he's so worthy of it all.
song, and I love how it talks about like releasing our worship to Him, because God desires us to release our worship to Him. He wants us to do it. And as we go into the next song, it's called Same God. And, excuse me, I love the fact that in this song it reminds us that the God who was then, now, and to come is the same God that walked with the Israelites in the wilderness, who breathed life into this world, who sent His Son Jesus to die for us and to forgive us of our sins. And I just love that reminder. So as we sing this song, I pray that you will find a space in your heart where you can just release your worship to Him, knowing that He was the same God then and on, in the biblical days and to come as well.
I'm calling on the God of Jacob, whose love endures through generations. I know that you will keep your covenant. I'm calling on the God of Moses, the one who opened up the ocean. I need you now to do the same thing for me. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. I'm calling on the God of Mary, whose favor rests upon the lowly. I know with you all things are possible. I'm calling on the God of David, who made a shepherd boy courageous. I may not face Goliath, but I've got my own giants. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness. Let's sing that again. Oh God, my God, I need you. Oh God, my God, I need you now. How I need you now. Oh rock of ages, I'm standing on your faithfulness, on your faithfulness. You heard your children, then you hear your children now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You answered prayers back then, and you will answer now. You are the same God. You are the same God. You are providing. You are providing. You are the same God. You are the same God. You moved
Would you pray with me? God, thank you for who you are, that you are the same, that you haven't changed, that you still love us, that you still are here for us, that you are still here with us this morning. God, I pray for the words we're about to hear from Amy. God, that they just can resonate in this room, and God, that the ears that they fall on, that they aren't lost, that they're heard and received. And God, I just pray for the rest of this morning that we can just sit in your presence, because you are here. Whether we can feel it or not, God, you are here and you're moving. And I pray that we can just go into this morning with that in mind. I pray all these things in your son's name. Amen. Before you take a seat, I'd like to encourage you to turn and greet someone. If it's someone new, if it's someone you already know, you can just say hi.
That's perfect, thanks. Thank you. I can't tell you how great it is to hear the hum of everyone just excited to welcome one another and be excited to be here together in this space. I want to say good morning, Vitalpoint. My name is Amy, and I'm a part of the teaching team here. And as Ron said earlier, we are in week 6 of our Practicing Wisdom series, all based on the book of Proverbs. And I want to remind those of us who committed at the beginning of the summer to Ron's challenge to read through a chapter a day in the book of Proverbs. By now, you should be on round 2 of that. And if this is new to you, we encourage you to be a part of this. All you need to do is grab a Bible or download the Bible app to your phone, and just every single day, just read through that chapter of Proverbs. They're not super lengthy, but they will be challenging to you, I am sure. They're good. And as I was thinking about this series, and I have been chatting with friends and family who have been listening to this, I'm finding it a little funny how in the summer, it's often a time of relaxation, spending maybe time by your pool or with friends and family camping or vacationing. But here, we've actually decided to almost have this spiritual summer boot camp instead. And we've been tackling some of these really tricky pieces of practicing wisdom, implementing it into everyday life. And as I was thinking about that and how, it can be so easy to take our foot off the gas a little bit in the summer, but we've just decided to shift it into the next year and keep going. And as I was thinking about this, I really believe that this series has inspired a lot of us and will hopefully continue to inspire us as we move through the rest of the summer. Inspire us to choose ways of wisdom, to be intentional about the way that we speak, the things that we do, what we say, and how we behave around other people. And I believe that during this time of where it's rest and relaxation, that this is actually really preparing us to go back into those routines strong in the fall, to choose that wisdom in our everyday life. And hopefully, as we walk down that path that leads to life, as Proverbs says, other people will be attracted by that and ask questions in that. And so that's my hope and prayer as we've moved through this series. And today is no exception to maybe a difficult topic. As Ron mentioned, that we're talking about practicing wisdom and raising children. And before I jump in, I do want to take a second here, that if you're here as a single person or as a parent who's raised their kids and they've moved on out of your home, or if you're in that position of desiring kids and that's just not been a reality for you yet, or if you're that person that just actually has no interest in kids at all, this is for you still, okay? And parents, I'm sorry, this is not going to be a 5 steps to raising the perfect child, because realistically, if you have kids, each kid is so unique and different in the way that they are. Even your family unit and the culture and what the priorities are within your family are going to be different. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach to this. Even the way that we view and understand childhood, if you study that through history, that is shaped by culture and time and context that we live in. And as you look at it, there's so many massive paradigm shifts in how we view kids, how we think about kids, and how we choose to parent them. But the Bible does teach us some basic principles to raising our kids that I believe can be applied irregardless of the time or cultural context that we live in. And so I'm going to start by reading a verse in Proverbs that might be familiar to some. It's found in chapter 22, verse 6, and it says this: "Train up a child in the way he should go, and even when he is old, he will not depart from it." Now, this can be a tricky verse, and you can't take it out of context here. And I know that there are those, maybe even in this room, that have raised their children and desired for them to walk in the ways of the Lord, and maybe they're not choosing that path right now. And I want to take a quick second here to acknowledge that and say that as a community, we stand with you in praying and believing that those kids, those seeds that were planted in their hearts, that they would find root and they would grow and they come back to that way. Because this verse here, it's not a promise, but it's a principle. It's a concept that creates the foundation of a belief system, dictating behavior and way of thinking rather than this A plus B will equal C equation. It's not that easy. And we need to recognize and acknowledge that we are in a war. We're in a battle for the hearts and minds of our kids. There's so much out there that knows this concept, that understands this principle, that if they can catch them young, if they can capture their hearts young, and in many ways, in a dark way, that could potentially lead to a lifelong struggle for them, but a struggle that is obviously no match for Jesus. So what is the way that we should go? We can interpret this phrase in so many contexts and ways, like education. Where should they go to school? What kind of jobs should they have? What kind of friendships should they engage in? And all these things that they are a part of in their life. And as I was pondering this, and for the context of this morning and what we want to address, I came back actually to an illustration that Ron made. Sometimes he teases me on like, how do you remember I said that? And I'm like, I don't know, I listen. I think that's a good thing. Someone's taking notes. But I want to go back to January 2021, okay? Ron challenged us all that we need to intentionally set priorities rather than making, goals for that year or whatever, New Year's resolutions, but to intentionally set priorities. And he used this really cool illustration that I keep coming back to. And this illustration of our life being like a dresser. And that if you are a follower of Jesus, your dresser is actually faith. It's not a drawer within the dresser. The dresser itself is faith. And the drawers are all these other things and priorities in our lives that all fit into that idea and concept of faith. A lot of these things we've actually touched on throughout this series so far, and if you've missed anything, I encourage you to go back because it's been all really good. So for example, a couple weeks ago, we addressed the topic of money. When money is a drawer and a priority within that dresser of faith, it shapes that idea of how we view money, the job that we choose, how we work, how we invest and spend our money. Our friends, that could be another drawer of priorities in our lives. David talked about that last week. The friends we choose, how we engage in those friendships, and the priority that we put on those friendships are going to be shaped by that dresser that they're a part of. And so in the context of raising kids, we're coming alongside them to help them build that dresser, preferably of faith, right? And I think about that and the way that they should go, right? So this dresser isn't a duplicate of ours. It doesn't look identical to ours. It might have reflections of us in it, but it's not the exact same. And rather, we come alongside them, paying close attention to their unique personalities, their giftings, and help them build and establish this dresser of faith. Now, a dresser that is quality and well-built, though. Not some trendy IKEA dresser that, is going to be junk in 50 years. But one that is strong and able to withstand that, daily opening and slamming. I'm aggressive when I'm getting ready, but that daily opening and slamming of those drawers, right? And able to hold that capacity and weight that each drawer needs and requires. But building this dresser, it takes time, it takes intention, and it takes community. And here at Vitalpoint, the vision of this church is this: to be a multi-site church that reaches thousands of people who are exploring and growing in their knowledge of Jesus and commitment to this church. And this vision here includes children. We want them to be loved and to feel safe as they personally grow and explore God and who He is within their homes and within this community. Even the name of this church, as Ron actually alluded to earlier, Vitalpoint. We believe that Jesus is vital to our lives, and we want to point you in that direction. Because at the end of the day, I think that the most important people that we're going to lead to Jesus are our own children. In their book, Raising Passionate Jesus Followers by Phil and Diane Comer, and they go in depth on practical tools, so if you're interested, I do recommend that book. But they say this: we want our kids to not only profess a faith, but actually possess a real faith. We want to see them become passionate Jesus followers. Because following Jesus isn't just about showing up at church on Sunday. That's not what I want for my kids. I want a daily walk with him, a relationship that leads to true life, being physically and spiritually alive. And that is our desire. That is the way that we want everyone to go. And so where do we start? How do we train up a child? When we were pregnant with our first child, our daughter Adeline, and I do say we, because although, yes, I was the one with the womb and the aches and the pains, my loving and patient husband had to deal with me through all of that. And I have apologized in the past and continue to, because that was no small task. But anyways, there was one morning where I was laying in bed. Of course, you're pregnant, sore and tired. And in that moment, I had this sudden, overwhelming feeling of, wow, this kid was just going to be ours, our responsibility to raise. And the immensity of that job in that moment honestly felt like something I was never going to be able to succeed in. Because out of that sobering reality of my flaws and my failures as this imperfect, soon-to-be parent, I came to this moment where I just desperately prayed this prayer to God of, God, show me how to raise this kid. I feel so incapable of this. And God is so good. Because I just looked at, how do I raise her when I so often in myself fall short? And he so gently said to me, not in this audible voice, but just in my mind went to this verse where I've read many times before in Mark chapter 12, verse 30, that says, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your mind and with all your strength. In that second, I realized that in order to train up my child in the way they should go, I better make sure I'm going that way too. That my own love for Jesus and the way that I love others as a repercussion of loving Jesus, that would inspire my kids to do the same. And in that moment, actually, I took that worry, and I've had to come back to that many times since, but took my worry about the specifics. How am I going to deal with this tantrum? Or what if they do this? But I found peace in the simplicity of loving God and loving people, allowing those things to shape my parenting. Now, this verse that Jesus is using here, he's actually quoting from an Old Testament book called Deuteronomy, which is a big word that actually just means second law. And so chapter 6 outlines how to pass on a faith to the next generation through everyday life. And it says this, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, when you lie down, and when you rise. Because when we love God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, we just can't help but desire to obey him, to walk in the ways of Jesus. And in turn, we love others because everyone around us is made in that image of who God is. And so the next question I had here is, how do we pass on this faith through everyday life? And based on these verses in Deuteronomy, Phil and Diane Comer outline these 3 essential components talked about here. And this has been a journey that God has loosely led us on as new parents. And let me tell you, we are by far from the perfect parents, and my kids are not perfect, so don't go checking in on them and see that we all align within this box. But this was a journey that we have been on, and I'm thankful that God and our children are all so gracious and forgiving as we succeed but often fail too. But number 1 here, they say that loving God with a passion is something that has to first happen in your own life. Our kids need to see that we love God. Deuteronomy starts off with that love that needs to first exist within our own hearts. Other verses in the Bible will say even so far as they're written on our hearts. They're so deeply embedded into us, that love for God and desire to walk in his ways, that it affects everything that we do and say. It is a result of that love for him. And so I think this morning, what is the state of our own dresser? Is it in order? Does it need repair? Do we need to maybe shift around the drawers there a little bit? Or are you just starting to build your own dresser of faith? And I think no matter where you are on your journey, God sees you, he knows you, and he's able to come alongside you and help you in that. And here, community, you're not off the hook if you're not involved directly in this raising of children, because everyone who chooses to be a part of this community here, you're included in this. Because kids are always watching, and they listen a lot better, I think, than we give them credit for. And they need to see other people who are also professing their faith, taking hold of their faith, and loving God for themselves. So your role matters. We're big fans of Winter Olympics in our house. Like, the world shuts down for us, and it is just 24/7 on, whether we're watching it or not. But I think of these athletes, right? There's just an inspiration inside of them that they love their sport, and probably that consumes their family as well, right? They love the sport, and they find a coach who's passionate about that sport, loves it, and come alongside them and hone them and teach them and help them along that way. And even investors have to come along, right? They're excited about a new Olympian or whatever in their sport, and they invest into that. And so there's so many roles here at play, right? To see these kids thrive and move into what God has for them. And so then number 2, that passionate and trusting reliance on God, it gets modeled in your own home, right where daily life happens. And to be honest, this one is a hard one, I feel like, because this means that from the moment we open our eyes and greet our children in the morning, all those spaces between till we say goodnight to them, we are modeling and showing them about our own passionate desire to follow Jesus in his ways. And we are representing that to them. So talking about things as we go throughout the day, right? Showing them in those little pieces, bringing them back to the truth. We aren't just doing devotions with our kids, and I'm not knocking devotion time, but that can honestly be a real struggle, especially as a busy family. But rather, we are modeling to our kids, not just the practical use of how to do devotions, but how to live a devoted life to Jesus. Because they're going to watch us fail, and they're going to watch us how we handle it. They're going to watch us succeed, and even what we define as success within that context of our faith. They're going to watch us forgive and confess our shortcomings and see the freedom that those things bring to us. Number 3, faith that is alive and real, it's got to be intentionally taught to our children. So remember what verse 7 said there. Diligently teach them these things. And I get it. We're tired. Life is busy. As we come out of a weird season of stuck at home, we are ready to run. But we need to take advantage of each and every moment that we have to bring our kids back to the truth. I feel even right now, as I was coming together with these pieces, that God is challenging some families, even in our community, to maybe cut back on some things come fall, maybe a lesser activity or cut back on hours at work. And I say this carefully, because I think that we can easily slap something on, oh, she said it, and let's do that. No, I think that God's already been working on some of us to slow down a little bit so we have that time and energy, even if it's just for a season, to intentionally teach our kids these things. Simply going for walks or sitting at the table and asking them, what did you learn about VPC kids today or VPC students, and sharing with them something that you're reading in your own Bible or that you're being challenged on or wrestling within your own faith. I think those pieces really make faith real to our kids when they recognize that mom and dad maybe don't have all the answers, but that this is something that they continue to strive in and for. I think that our giftings and priorities as parents are also somewhere to start. For example, I'm going to throw my husband under the bus a little bit here. He didn't know this, sorry. But he has the spiritual gift of giving. And so money, from the beginning of our marriage, we've been really intentional about it. And we didn't have a lot when we started. But anyways, out of this, we decided that this summer we were going to do this summer money management program with our kids. And it just took me a few, minutes to sort of create and shape and form. And so the idea of it is Monday to Friday, each and every day they have a specific job that they earn money for. Now, this is above and beyond what they are required to contribute as a family member. But they're paid for this, and so Friday they get jacked up, it's payday, and so we go through, they get their money, and we've given them these 4 jars so that they know how to manage this well. And so intentionally we choose that first 10% that comes out of there, that goes straight into the tithe. And so if that is a weird word to you, that just simply is a biblical principle in which we give God back 10% of our earnings. We have seen the fruit of that in our own lives as husband and wife, and so we want to teach them that. Then 20% goes into the savings, 20% goes into investment, and 50% goes into their spend. And because they're kids and have no real bills, spend is a fun jar right now. But That we want our children to know and understand the value of work, the value of money, and how to budget those things well and honor God with those things. That's important to us as our family unit. And so we want to teach them this now so that when they're older and making money of their own, real money, this habit will just be natural to them. It won't be something that they have to learn again. And so parents, if you feel ill-equipped in all of this, in this parenting thing, we trust God with our own walk, and so we can trust him to give us the words each and every day, moment by moment, when we need it most. I think of a fairly familiar proverb of Proverbs 3, verse 5 to 6 that says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight your paths." Everyone, this goes for parenting too. Parenting is no exception to this. We don't need to lean on our own understanding, but every single moment of the day, acknowledging God, help me in this situation. There have been times where before I go to bed, I go, help Lord, because I'm grumpy today and I need it. The best parenting advice I've ever received, and you get often a lot of unsolicited parenting advice here, regardless of your stage, but this one was good. She said, we parent by faith and not fear. Because as we look to Jesus and trust him in our parenting, our focus shifts to him who is able. And we see how good he is and how well-equipped he is, and that moves it from my own inadequacies and my focus from myself. Parents, I encourage you, lean on your community in this. Look to those around you who you admire in the way that they're doing things, and ask questions. We have to be good at asking questions. Find those parents who are in the same age category as your kids, and find some that are that stage next to you. I joked with a friend who's here today that when I have teenagers, I'm coming to you because I'm watching you right now with your teens, and I'm coming to you for advice. There's so much wisdom, and we can read a ton of books. There's so much information out there, but there is something so valuable and better, I think, of actually spending time with people that we admire, that we see physically the fruit in their lives and their relationships with their kids. And now Lisa, our family ministers director at VPC, is super passionate about this. I love talking to her about her job. And as we were chatting, she made this really profound statement, I thought, that Vitalpoint isn't made up of a bunch of silo ministries. And what she meant by this is that our children's ministry isn't just a thing. The band isn't just a thing. Student ministry, they're not standalone, but rather all these things, connect groups, community impact teams, the people in the parking lot greeting you and helping you park your car, all these things work together, and each piece relies on one another. So community, you play a part in this, irregardless of your age or relationship status, because I want to be careful here and make a quick note, not to contribute to this idolatry of marriage that can sometimes sneak into the way of the church. And what I mean by this is that the church, more specifically North American church, can put this unhealthy emphasis on marriage and children and families. And as a result, those who are single or without kids can be made to feel incomplete or alone within a church community, and that is not okay. That is not the way of Jesus. Because being married and having children is not an end goal, it is not necessary for your salvation, and it is not a qualifier to serve. But however, for the context of our conversation, we are talking about the role that the community plays in training children up. Now, our own children also need community. They need other kids their age, ones who have parents who are also intentionally trying to train them in the way that they should go, right? And so we have so many opportunities here at Vitalpoint to do this, right? We have VPC kids downstairs. We have VPC students relaunching this fall. Even Forest Cliff Camp that's coming towards the end of August. You can sign your kids up. I think we still have space for that. But all these pieces work together, even hanging out for a little bit afterwards and seeing those kids running around, and like how no one has gotten hurt on that swing on the tree out back is like beyond me, but praise the Lord, no one has. Let today not be that day. But in saying that too, they need older children to look up to. I know our own daughter was really actually impacted by a girl who helps out in the VPC Kids Ministry on Sundays. Watching her get baptized at the beginning of this summer, that made a mark in her life as she watched that. They need other adults too, that they can see that are passionately following Jesus. One who are going to echo what we are modeling and saying to them, right? There was this one day that I was kind of stuck for childcare, and so our son Elliot, who's 7, that took me a second. heaven, okay? He had to come along. And so, of course, he's a busy boy. We brought some activities so he can quietly play in the corner. And as we were waiting for this meeting to start, I watched these two men separately come in. And they came alongside Elliot, put their hand on his shoulder and talked to him for a little bit. And Elliot showed him the pictures that he was drawing. And honestly, in those moments, it brought tears to my eyes. Because I know that these men are even right now impacting my son's walk with Jesus, even if he doesn't fully realize that yet. Now, in June, we saw these families make the decision to raise their child in the way they should go, all within the hopes and prayer that they would continue in that way when they're older. Now, Vital Point is a safe place for everyone, for parents like these to be loved, to be supported, and to be championed through all the stages of parenthood, giving room for them to grow and explore in their own faith as they lead their children, because their children are a gift. They are a gift to the parents, and they are a gift to this church. Each one is equipped with their own talents, their own giftings that God has given them, and our desire is to see them grow and to flourish in those things. Psalm 127 verse 4 says this, like arrows in the hand of a warrior are children in one's youth. Now, arrows in the hands of a regular person, like me, it's just reckless. But arrows in the hands of a warrior, someone who has been championed, those arrows are shot with intention, and they're going to find their mark, and they're dangerous to an enemy. And so, parents, we want to champion you on your faith journey. Community, you're a part of this. We want to see these children grow in their knowledge and commitment to Jesus. We aren't just training up a child, but we're raising adults. Right now, we are shaping the way that they are going to learn to live their life. We're building that dresser together with them. And as you send out your children into the world, because they saw your passion, your faith lived out, and intentionally taught to them to do the same, working with them to build that firm, strong dresser, that's going to initiate a desire within their own heart to experience God for themselves. Perhaps we'll see kids that are so grounded in their identity in Christ that they will not give in to the nonsense that their friends are dabbling in around them. Kids that are so aware of the gifts that God has put inside of them and learn to exercise them in humility and grace. Kids that see others the way Jesus sees them and loving on them even if it's not popular or convenient for them. Kids that are going to walk out the purposes of God in their own lives, that will disciple their friends, their classmates, even inspire their teachers for Jesus. Kids that will be unashamed of the truth. Because we're training up adults who will one day make disciples of their own family, their own children, training their kids in the way that they should go. And so may we all today catch this vision and understand the role that you play in intentionally building generations who will then go and build the next generation, who will then go build the next generation of passionate Jesus followers.
Lord bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. Bless you and keep you. Make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. His favor be upon you for 1,000 generations, and your families, your children, and their children, and their children. May his favor be upon you for 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and their children, and their children. May his presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, within you. He is with you, he is with you, in the morning, in the evening, in the comings, and you're going, and you're weeping, rejoicing. He is for you, 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 he is for you.
I was like, are we done already? That was, I don't know if it's because I haven't been in church in a few weeks or been at Vitalpoint in particular. Desiree and I, we've raised 2 boys, and they're grown men now, and at least, yeah, basically. This is in the way. You know, I think that the challenge that Amy has given us is timely. And Amy, I wanted to clap when you were done, but I didn't want to be the only one. I was like, oh, you know, that's weird. But yes, thank you. There are so many things that you packed into that 26 minutes that were just so incredibly powerful. And I want to say this to you, mom and dads, and some of you have little ones, some of you had teenagers. I want to say this: don't give up. Just don't give up. It's exhausting. I get it. I get it. I understand it. And some of you have teenagers that are in your home, and you're like, when are they leaving? You know? In all seriousness, we've been there. David, who works for the church now, at 18 moved out because he couldn't live to the values that we had in our home. And he chose to move out. And I never forget the day he came downstairs and said to us, you know, do you think I can do this? And we're like, oh yeah, we believe in you. We believe in you. And But I want to say this, don't give up, parents. It is difficult, it is exhausting, but it is your responsibility to stay in that moment and trust that God's favor, his face is towards you, even when you feel like you can't go another day parenting these kids or these teenagers. And I know it's difficult. I want to say this too. Some of you are carrying this burden. I know this. I just know it. So after the service, we've got someone that's going to be downstairs in our prayer room. And if you need prayer, you just want someone to listen to you or just pray with you, go to the prayer room after the service, because it can be such a burden as parents. And so go down there for the prayer time. But we just pray that you as parents and us as a community will understand that together we have this responsibility that of these gifts that God has given to us. And a few weeks ago, there was a little guy coming into church with his mom. I don't know what Zach 7? Zach Tigler. And he had on a t-shirt that said future leader. And he had an X through the future and just leader. And I thought, that's what our church is about right there. Not that we would trust him with anything yet, but it's so, I looked at his mom, Kim, and I just said, this is exactly what this church is about. To help these kids understand their spiritual gifts. What does it mean to be a disciple of Jesus? And what does it mean to be a church that passes on faith from generation to generation to generation? And allowing these kids to see the power and the work of God. I look forward to some of our kids going off to college and university and facing the incredible opposition and people wanting to debate their faith and their walk with Jesus. And they go, that's fine, you can say all you want, but I have seen God work in a church. I've seen lives transformed. I have been part of it. You can debate me all you want. And it's important to debate and apologize. I get that. But what an opportunity for us as a church to continue to create this context in this environment. Could be I've been away, but I'm just so excited about it and so pumped about it. Speaking of students, we actually have a bit of an announcement before we close the service. Brett, you want to come up? Intern Brett, come on up here. Brett, you've been working in the family ministries for the summer with Lisa, and you have an announcement for everybody.
Yeah. Okay, before I make this announcement, though, I need a little bit of participation with show of hands. Okay, so who likes heights? I'm not putting my hand up because I don't like them. Okay, we've got a couple over here. I think everybody's hand will go up. Who likes funnel cake? Okay, that's a little bit more. Okay, who likes to have fun? I think that's everybody. Okay, so what do those three things have in common? Canada's Wonderland. So my announcement is that VPC students, we are going to Canada's Wonderland Saturday, August 20th. Okay, we're jamming a bus. We're going over there all day. We're going to hang out in the heat, but it's going to be tons of fun riding up on those tall roller coasters, eating funnel cake, all those types of things. There is a cost associated with it, $75. That covers your bus, your ticket, all of that great stuff. Sign-ups and details can be found on the website, vitalpoint.com/students. There's a link there you click on, fill it out. I'll get all that information. All right, if you have any more questions, or if you want to just talk about student ministries in general, I'll be outside handing your kids freezies afterwards. So feel free to come up to me, ask me any questions you have, or just ask me questions, get to know me. I want to get to know you guys too.
Thanks. That's great. Thanks. Get your kids there. I've just so fun to be on the stage again. When I was a youth pastor, we took 2 busloads to Wonderland, and we had 5 kids picked up for drugs. So hopefully that won't happen to us. That was back in the early 90s. So anyway, don't worry, your kids are safe. Get them there. Nothing like the Pastor Ron being called for 5 church kids with drugs. Okay, so as we close, remember the prayer room is available for you. And also want to say continued thank you to those of you who honor God with your tithe and your giving. This church continues to expand and grow and reach more people because more and more of us are continuing to get behind the vision and mission with our giving. And so I just want to say thank you again to those of you. Continue to support this work and what God is doing. And it's just amazing. I can't wait for what God does in the future. And it's going to be incredible. May you go and be a people that are salt and light in the world. May you be salt and light in your neighborhood, in your workplace, and in the places you play. May you be a people that represent Jesus well as you go into your week. May God bless you. We'll see you next Sunday. Thanks for being here.